Pop Team Epic continues to dominate the anime season. It's a series that's built on love, life, and smashing cuckoo clocks. Another week, another episode of Pop Team Epic, and another time that I have to remind myself, what the hell did I just watch? Another really funny episode of the series, which immediately began with a fantastic joke. I will say that reviewing the Pop Team Epic anime series is really difficult because it mostly just amounts to me saying, this was the parts that I liked, these were the parts that I didn't like, and there's so much that they throw at you in every single episode that it's kind of hard to remember every single thing, so I'm mostly just going to talk about some of the highlights of this episode right here. What I found most surprising about this episode, though, is that it finally featured a segment which went on for a very long time and was sort of like a riff on the Rockstar documentary series that we see on TV all the time, and little by little it sort of de-evolved into a mockumentary in the stylings of, say, something like Spinal Tap. But this episode right here also had a lot of little quick funny moments which were great, and they also made the character of Pipimi seem absolutely horrifying in this episode. So let's just talk about some of the great moments. The first segment of the episode before the amazing intro starts was a really funny moment where Popuko is getting ready to go to school when suddenly her blanket comes to life. It happens, guys, and it basically wants to go back to bed with her. And she says she can't do it. She can't do it. If she does it, she won't be able to go to school. And then it ends with her getting covered by the blanket. And the whole joke is funny because it's kind of similar to what happens when, say, a loved one wants to have a little bit of a quickie before you leave for the office. But it's done in such a goofy and cute manner that it's a great way to actually set up the episode. The rest of the episode, however, like I said, is mostly focused on this one segment, which is a fictionalized telling of what happens when Popuko becomes a super big pop star and Pipimi is actually her manager. And like I said, it's all done in the style of a documentary, and Pipimi actually has like a fake mustache on the entire time, and Popuko comes across as like this really cruel and callous and uncaring pop star who has an obsession with smoking cigarettes. That is until she is told to stop, but she promptly switches to cigars. This scene is made incredibly better too in the second half of the episode when they redo the whole thing and we get different voice actors. I'm not sure if it was Ryusei Nakao who was doing the voice of Popuko, but if it was hilarious. If those don't know, Ryusei Nakao is the voice of like Frieza from Dragon Ball or Caesar Clown from One Piece, and if that's who was doing the voice, man, it added so much to the second half of the episode. But what's really funny is that this whole segment starts out, like I said, kind of like the typical documentary about the star who starts out big, crashes hard, and ends up just turning into sort of like a third-rate star that you kind of remember for a couple of their one-hit wonders. But it slowly de-evolves into like basically the apocalypse of the planet. How does that happen? Well, Pipimi decides that the two backup singers that are with Popuko should not be involved, so she goes to the point of trying to find other members, but that doesn't work. The only person who can be with Popuko is more Popuko, so she literally starts to clone her in this massive factory out of freaking Donkey Kong Country, and then the episode ends basically with the entire planet being taken over by these super pissed off versions of Popuko and Pipimi standing atop a throne, dressed as M. Bison from Street Fighter, because reasons. This was definitely, I think, one of the strongest segments from the entire series thus far, and I hope we'll get to see more of that. But like I said, the rest of the episode is basically just more classic Pop Team Epic, which is a lot of segments such as the Bob Epic teams, which look completely awful, but still managed to be surprisingly funny in that Adult Swim kind of way. But I think some of my favorite segments, without a doubt, had to come from Pipimi in this episode, who just demonstrated how incredibly horrifying she is. There's a great scene where she's in a red car and this guy starts talking to her outside of the car and she mentions, "Oh, I love the color red. It camouflages the blood." Nervously, he starts to laugh about this, but of course, it just sort of paints her as this really disturbing serial killer with like very little emotion on her face when they slowly start to pan in on her, but then immediately cut away to another scene where Pipimi is desperately trying to get Popuko to do something with a gun. I don't know if this is like something that's lost in translation, but just the quick cut of like a 5-second joke of Pipimi just slamming a gun down in front of Popuko and telling her to use it is hilarious. Mostly because they're these two cute-looking little anime girls, and to see them go through all of these crazy situations and things that are really crass, is definitely sort of like the hallmark of the entire series. There's a moment where Popuko ends up tripping on the ground and continuously spins for absolutely no reason whatsoever. In fact, I think one of the best things about this episode might even be the ending, where Popuko sees this cuckoo clock where the bird starts to come out, and at first she's like, oh, that's so awesome and incredible, but at the same time it's kind of annoying, so she decides that she's going to destroy it. So she grabs a massive sledgehammer, stands right next to the clock, and says, I'll get you in the next 30 minutes. So she just stands there the entire time, and behind her is a TV, and on the screen it starts to play the actual ending of the anime, and we never get to see her destroy the cuckoo clock, which is great. I was kind of hoping in the second half of the episode they would give us some different imagery of something that would happen, because sometimes they do that with the two different halves, but nothing happened. It was the same exact thing. It was just done with different voice actors, and that still manages to be pretty funny. So what's the rundown on this episode of Pop Team Epic? This show is so stupid but fun. I look forward to it every week now. If only that I know I'm going to get a couple of cheap laughs out of it. It's kind of like, I don't want to call it the South Park of anime yet, because it's just nowhere near as intelligent as South Park in my humble opinion. But it kind of comes from like the same pedigree of, it looks like crap, but man, is it so good for what it actually does. At least the show is clean, you know? It doesn't have like a lot of big detail or anything. The characters are really simple, but man, does it work to the benefit of this episode right here. The biggest struggle with Pop Team Epic, however, has got to be the things that are going to get lost in translation. There are just some jokes that, while they are funny to me, I simply just don't get them because I'm not Japanese. There's also a few moments in the episode where I was completely lost as we go back to that one French animator and we get to see them speaking in French again, and they don't subtitle any of it. So I was just like, what is even going on? Why is this funny? I don't get it. Why is she so obsessed with baguettes and stuff and using them as skis? I don't know. It's just silly, to say the least. That's really the best way to describe it. But this episode was, like I said, really great and a little more focused than some of the other ones. I still think the second episode thus far was more funny in terms of the laughs that I got from it, but this one definitely had a lot of really great shocking moments, and like I said, that whole story about Popuko becoming a pop star and then turning into like this army of herself which took over the planet in a post-apocalyptic setting was really, really funny. I really did like that a lot. I also really liked this one little moment, which is kind of like getting a fan letter from fans of the series, where Pipimi starts reading the letter, and she's like, you guys use way too many lazy references. Try to do something more unique. And then they immediately go to another scene, and they just bring us more references. It's a great little middle finger to the audience, which is something that Pop Team Epic really loves to do. Really, if you're looking for an off-the-wall, comedy-styled anime series, which is done in the ways of like Robot Chicken or the WarioWare video games, then check out more of Pop Team Epic. It's really funny, and this was another side-splitting episode. I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. I really love this one a lot, but mostly I want to hear from you guys. What were your favorite segments from this episode of Pop Team Epic? Was there anything that really made you laugh? Anything that disturbed you? Is there something that you hope to see from the future of this series, which is arguably going to go down in meme history? Tell me all your thoughts about Pop Team Epic in the comments section below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more anime reviews. Hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.